I don't think we can hear you, Josh. Just just an FYI. Hey guys. Yep. Okay, just confirmed I can hear myself in YouTube, but can I hear you? So not sure what's going on there. But if you are now joining the show, welcome to Fantasy Now Plus. Where Josh is having technical difficulties that he did not have 3 minutes ago when we were just chatting before the show started. So I guess I'll just fill in some void here. Be sure to follow us and on Blue Sky, YouTube, all of the sorts. FantasyNowPlus.com. Yep, Josh just left the show, so it's just me now. I'll cover for him right now. Nobody's here yet. Hopefully you're listening to this later on. But yeah, be sure to check us out on social media. Subscribe to all of our platforms, the podcast, everything, so you can get all of the updated information. Josh is back, maybe. Let's see. Is he
Listen,
here? There he is.
people heard me the whole time, Justin. You just don't listen to me.
No, I was listening to the YouTube and I couldn't hear you either. So
Nothing. I changed no settings. All I did was back out and come back in. So maybe we're just cursed because I heard last week there were some technical difficulties as well. But let's not repeat that.
might be cursed. Here, let's go back to this and nope.
We are in the off season apparently, and we can't get our stuff together. Oh, am I doing the whole show opening again? Gotcha. This is Fantasy Now Plus, and this is what we do in the off season. We can't get our S together, but make sure Justin, come back in here. What are we doing? What are we doing? I had busy plans, and then all of a sudden, all of our technical difficulties arrive. So, am I the IT expert that needs to fix all this stuff, Justin? Is that what we need to do?
Why do you have to fix all this stuff?
I'm just kidding. I kid. You're the best. But we are talking about rookies, quarterbacks today. We have a bunch of rookies to talk about. Most of them will be sitting on your bench or your Devy taxi squad, and they'll be cut in about 3 years because most of these guys, in my opinion, are not worth drafting. But we will talk about the majority of them today and maybe give you some positives and negatives and pros and cons as we do. But we do have some news before. Did you guys hear me plug the Scott Fish Bowl?
No.
Make sure you go register. I thought I was registered. I've been in the Scott Fish Bowl for about 4 years straight now. And today I saw somewhere, don't forget to register. So I just went on scottfishbowl.com to make sure. And it says, Josh, you are not registered. So I went ahead and did that this morning. I made sure that I am in the clear. So if you have not yet, Dave Campbell or other people out there, make sure you do that today because drafts are starting soon. July is coming so soon, Justin.
Yeah, you can't get invited if you don't register for it. So that's the important part. Also, if you're registering for that, go ahead over to our website and I'm going to steal Josh's thunder and register for the Super League, which is a best ball charity league. So yeah, do that too. Yes,
FantasyNowPlus.com. You can register for Super League. It's fun. It's great. I should have won last year. I lost by 0.04 points in the very last week. It's fun.
Josh, don't forget to change your affiliation. It's no longer Once Upon a Sunday. So
I changed that, by the way. Hey, quick question now that we're on air. Are we doing Fantasy Now spell out plus or just the plus in the Scott Fish Bowl? I did just the plus.
I just did the plus.
There we go. Sean, all you guys in Discord right now, if you're listening, that's what we do. Plus. All right. Last night, I hosted Real Talk Wrestling here on the Fins Talk Sports Network, and here's how I opened the show. No joke. And we'll get into fantasy very soon. Welcome to Once Upon a Now. Oh, we're talking wrestling. That's literally how I opened the show last night. Oh, it's been an overwhelming week for me personally. There's no crickets there. That's laughter. It was a joke. It actually happened. Thank you. So let's get into some fantasy news. I'm glad we're back. I'm so glad.
And actually talking about stuff. Yeah, I'm going to go back to 6 days ago because we covered everything 7 days ago. Ryan Tannehill has had discussions with the Vikings.
As he should. He's a very good quarterback that could be a backup somewhere.
He might be the
And
next Sam Darnold. We don't know.
oh, come on. Why is this? Why are people discounting JJ McCarthy already? Why are we talking, dude? All this talk and noise
He needs a
is
veteran
just
still.
hurting him. It's just hurting him.
He needs a veteran. Ryan Tannehill would be a good backup. Let's see. Zach Pascal, 1-year deal with the Giants. That's not really that important.
He still
Let's
plays.
see. Kirk Cousins could waive a no trade clause after the NFL draft to get traded somewhere that he's actually going to get to play. Maybe. So that's another quarterback, another veteran that might hit the market and be a factor in these dominoes of quarterbacks that are coming out of free agency. Let's see. Cam Ward draws Titans brass for Miami Pro Day. They have the number 1 overall pick. That's important. The Patriots say they'll take the best player available in the NFL draft. They currently have the 4th pick overall. A lot of people thought maybe they're bringing in Tet McMillan with that 4th pick. They still could. They did just get Diggs. They just re-signed Mario Douglas to an extension. So they do have wide receivers out there, but they could still go get Tet. Puka Nakua says he wants to retire when we all want to retire at the age of 30. Unfortunately, you are long past that, and I am past that by a couple years.
Long? How dare you?
Oh wait, I don't think we're supposed to talk about your age legally.
Yes, and don't look me in the eye, by the way.
Russell Wilson. Well, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I was gonna follow up on that. So I didn't get to talk about the Diggs news. Did you guys talk about that last week?
No, that's the next thing.
Okay, go ahead.
First, Russell Wilson signs a 1-year deal for $21 million with the New York Giants. Shortly after they signed Jameis Winston to a deal, everybody thought they were going to draft a quarterback. Are they going to draft a quarterback? I think they still do. I think they do, but I think it's going to be later.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I think this is a good way to use Russell Wilson as a bridge and Jameis's backup for safety. And they can draft someone next year because I believe next year's class is going to be way better. And why draft a guy who we're going to talk about, like, I don't know, Jackson Dart?
But
who's just
do
going to send on the bench?
Do you think Russell Wilson bridges that too much to where like they get in the middle of the first round instead of the early first round, so that now they're not getting in an Archie Manning type, they're getting somebody else?
That's a possibility, but it's also a possibility that
I would have just rolled the dice with Jameis Winston and just hope that he got me to the first overall pick.
Well, here's the thing, Justin. You're not coaching for your job. Brian Daboll is. He doesn't care about next. He doesn't care about next year. He cares about
that's totally fair.
Winning this year. So
Russell Wilson might be their guy for the future. We don't know.
For the unlimited future, as Russell Wilson would say. But yeah, I do think that because listen, we all are in a mindset of, well, what's next? Who's next? Who's the next young hotness? Or Brian Daboll and other coaches are like, F that, guys. I want to win the Super Bowl now. And if he thinks Russell Wilson can win him the Super Bowl, which he won't, that's a good move for him.
All I know is Malik Neighbors' stock went way up when they signed Jameis Winston. I think it's going way down since they got Russell Wilson.
Are you crazy? Okay.
Not way down, but it went down. I think Jameis Winston could have got him 2,000 yards next year.
I can't wait to discuss this when we do get more in depth on players, like once it hits the later months of like August, July, because I'd like to know, because I don't have it in front of me. I should, because I should have read the notes and had this in front of me, but I would like to know what Pickens did with Russell Wilson versus without Russell Wilson, because I do think because look at what Cortland Sutton did over there in Denver with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson brings value to wide receivers because of his accuracy and because of his professionalism. People hate Russell Wilson because of his weird actions and the way he talks and the way he is around guys. I get it. He's a weird dude. That's what people have been saying about him. But he does bring production to wide receivers. And I think it's totally unfair to say Neighbors went down. I think Neighbors, no matter what, his value went up because of the professionalism of Russell Wilson. And if you throw in Jameis Winston, of course, we all know gunslinger mentality. That's awesome. But is Malik Neighbors really known for? Go ahead.
Pickens had 2 games over 20 with Russell.
But I would like to see
over 10.
I would like to
over
see like
15.
I'm just talking about like overall statistics, target share.
Yeah.
I want to get that whole breakdown of what Russell Wilson brought to either a Cortland Sutton later in his career or a George Pickens, because it's kind of unfair to me to say, well, Russell Wilson didn't add any value. Let's not be crazy here and say when Justin Fields was on the field for the Steelers, Pickens was kind of useless.
He got the same target share,
Okay, same target share.
about 7 targets a game. Yeah. So,
But were those targets catchable? We'll find that out later. We'll talk about that later because it's interesting. Different quarterbacks and how they affect their wide receivers. That's a good show topic later down the road. Anyway,
Stephon Diggs signs a 3-year deal with the Patriots, so he is on his way to another team with a young quarterback. This will be his 3rd team in a row. I talked about Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills, CJ Stroud with the Houston Texans, and now Drake May in the New England Patriots. So he's back in the AFC East, gets to play Buffalo twice a year, and lands as their wide receiver 1 for right now.
For now, let's see how he affects Drake May and his morale. We know Diggs is a locker room cancer, as we all know that, or it's been documented. He wants out of everywhere he goes, and he wanted to win, guys. His entire career, Dirtbag Dave told me all he cares about is winning. Yet all he cares about is money, and that's why he went to New England. So let's see if he doesn't totally tank Drake May and blow his confidence.
And then we had one big-time QB signing yesterday. Tim Boyle signs with the Tennessee Titans.
Let's go. Tighten up, baby.
I mean, he's battling for the starting quarterback job right now. So with Will
right
Levis.
now.
So
right now, I think that we'll see a different quarterback day 1.
I think we will too.
Is there any other news?
That's the news.
That's the news. All right.
Don't got anything else?
So we do have some quarterbacks to talk about, quarterbacks that are rookies. Now, if you listen to any publication or you read any kind of article or you just look up the name 2025 quarterback class on Google, you'll find out that most of these guys will be backups, and this is a very weak class. So if you're in a non-superflex dynasty league, I don't think any of these guys are worth grabbing first, second, or at all, actually, most likely, because these are going to be bottom of the barrel quarterbacks, most of them. Superflex is a different situation because even the 32nd best quarterback is better than, running back 2s and wide receiver 2s in the long haul. We broke that down years ago, before anyone else was. We broke that down back when Dwayne Haskins was still alive and was drafted, actually, because that's who brought up the situation of, seriously, that's who brought up the situation where, and nobody was talking about it back then, how the 32nd quarterback was still better than a lot of running back 2s and a lot of wide receiver 2s. That being said, though, in Superflex leagues, Cam Ward is looking like the top pick, even though he has a lot of flaws. He's 6'2", 219 pounds, came out of Miami, University of Miami. He played there 1 year. He was a 0-star recruit. He played in Division II. People call it SFB, whatever they call it. No, I'm old. It's Division II. Stop labeling things as they're not. They're Division II. And he played there for a while. Then he got to eventually Miami this year, and it was a Heisman candidate. Threw 39 touchdowns, was excellent. Talk about him, Justin. Do you like this guy as a number 1 pick overall?
Cam Ward's probably one of the only quarterbacks that I would draft as high as 1 or 2 or 3. He is the only QB that I could see being drafted that I would be okay with drafting as high in the NFL draft. Now, in fantasy draft, he is the only quarterback I would draft in the first round, period. That's just me. It's just me. So, I don't think Shedeur is going to get to a spot where he lands in a good spot that's going to make him valuable.
We'll talk about Shedeur after this, but let's stick with Cam Ward real quick, or at least at the moment. So we're in a weird league, and I don't want to make this show about, hey, let's talk about our leagues, but we're in a very weird league that I don't think anyone's ever done before, where last year we just drafted rookies, and that's who we had. And this year we draft rookies again, and that's who we're going to have. Anyone before 2024 doesn't exist in our league. They just don't. And I have the 3rd pick overall, and I don't have a quarterback. I have Tua, not the good Tua. I have the Tua that's in the CFL, I think. So
you have Tulia.
It is what it is. Yes, it is what it is at this point. So I'm sitting there at the 3rd pick, and And I'm looking at these quarterbacks going, I need one to compete in this league. But I also need like everyone because we have full rosters. I'm starting zeros everywhere across the board. Like I basically have Xavier Worthy, Jonathan Brooks, and that's it of note. Like that's all I have. So I'm looking
You
at
have
these.
don't forget about player invalid. You have player invalid on your roster too.
Do I really
So
have player invalid on my roster?
you do.
That's who's player invalid.
I don't know. It just says player invalid. I looked at the draft board.
Oh,
I was like, oh,
he's in my starting lineup. Yeah, I do have a player invalid in my starting lineup. So it is what it is. So that being said, I have 2 player invalids, by the way. There's one on my bench too. So that being
yikes.
said, at the 3rd pick overall, I'm willing to pass these running backs and receivers to grab either a Cam Ward or a Sanders if they fall to 3. That's my plan. So every player, whether it be quarterback or running back or whatever, or any quarterback on this list has value. It just depends on what you need in your draft. Now, if you're sitting there at a top pick in a super flex and you have two good quarterbacks, these quarterbacks are passable. I didn't say that in the past. When Bijan Robinson was coming out, I thought it was silly that people were taking him one-on-one over quarterbacks. Turns out Bijan was the right pick. So I've learned and I've changed my ways. So the running back, Ginty, I'm bad with name, guys. He's the consensus number 1. Yeah, he's the number 1 pick overall, consensus-wise. So even in super flex leagues, I'm probably still not taking Cam Ward at 101. I'm taking the running back in this situation. Is that crazy, Justin?
No, because I'm in the same boat right now, actually, where I do have the 101 that I've traded for a couple times, and I'm looking at Genty, taking him first. If not Genty, probably Tet. I don't feel comfortable enough with some of the other ones, but I think if you're in a position where you do need a quarterback, like in one of our leagues that we're in, I was offered the 102, probably for Genty, because the guy in front of that has the 101 does not have a quarterback. They have Jake Browning as their quarterback. So it's like, well, Ward's going there. So Ward is, I think if the league needs a quarterback, the 101 needs the quarterback, you're taking Ward. If you don't need the quarterback, you're going Genty. I don't think I would take Genty over the possibility of Ward being in your super flex, in my opinion.
I agree with that. So I did some research on Cam Ward, nothing crazy. I do want to talk about it before we do move on to Shadir Sanders. So, he's projected to go to Tennessee right now. They had a very bad offensive line last year, 23rd overall. They allowed 36.6 pressure, which means 36.6 of the time amount of the time they snapped the ball. The quarterback was running for his life. They added 2 guys in free agency, Dan Moore Jr., left tackle, and Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler is the big one because he only allowed 3.2 pressures on his snaps. So therefore, he's a big upgrade from what they had. That's very important for quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks coming into the NFL. Offensive lines matter. They don't matter for fantasy, right? Running backs can still produce with a bad offensive line, but quarterbacks cannot. Josh Wingate's famously, he's on the FinTalk Sports Network, by the way, and he tells me all the time, offensive lines matter. And I said, no, they don't. They don't, but they do for quarterbacks because David Carr and other quarterbacks have done nothing but run for their lives under bad offensive lines. So we need the Titans to bulk up. Now you look at the Titans surrounding cast: Calvin Ridley, Treylon Burks, Van Jefferson, and Chig Okonkwo. It's not really special. It's not really top tier talent there. So I'm not saying Tennessee's a poor spot for him. I'm just saying it's not going to be great year 1. So don't expect CJ Stroud numbers right off the bat with Cam Ward. He's a gunslinger and he'll throw it deep, but he doesn't really have any deep options. That's the problem.
Yeah, I see. I don't even think the Titans are going to draft the quarterback position with the first overall. I think it's Abdul Carter from Penn State, or they trade out of that pick, trade back just a little bit and still draft Abdul Carter, because I think they could easily trade with the Giants or the Browns to move back a spot or two, similar to what the 49ers did with the Bears when they picked up Mitch Trubisky, and then they ended up getting like Solomon Thomas. Um, I don't think they're necessarily in the position to just draft a quarterback unless the new GM decides I want my quarterback. But then you also are pairing him up with a coach that might not even be there next year. So it's like, do we really want to go that route? I think they continue to load up everywhere else, get the team to a spot where, okay, now we're inserting quarterback, and then get the quarterback. I think that's the better option. So I could see them passing on Ward, which means Ward might end up on the Browns, which is not a great spot to be at because they have who at wide receiver?
Donovan Peoples-Jones? Question mark.
No,
Jerry Jeudy.
no. Jerry Jeudy. That's it. Sorry. They have Jerry Jeudy. And now
David Njoku. Don't be disrespecting David Njoku.
Njoku. Okay. Yeah. The tight end's always the rookie's best friend. Yeah. Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and my boy David Bell.
You were all over Cedric Tillman last year. You were all over him. Yeah, you were. We can go back to the tape. We can go to the archive. Or is OUS not? It's just snapped away. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm just kidding. No, but hear me out.
But it's not good for a rookie quarterback.
It's not good. It really isn't good. It's not a good spot for him at all. So I agree with that 1,000%. But where would you prefer him to land? Those three spots: Tennessee, Giants, Cleveland. Where would you prefer him to land?
I've been saying Giants all offseason, but that's partially because I keep forgetting about Tennessee being at the 101 and the Browns existing. So I kept thinking Giants had two. I would like to see him with the New York Giants. I think he would fit in well there. I think between Russell and Jameis Winston both being there, that would be a great like mentorship to really learn the NFL. You got Russell Wilson who's done it. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been at the top of the game. And then you got Jameis Winston who knows the expectations of what it means to be a high draft pick, being the 101, and then not living up to it. So between those two experiences, I think that gets Cam Ward a great spot. Plus, you got guys like, wow, it just died. Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy. They're trying to build up the defense and offense. So it's Kadarius Toney. Don't say Kadarius Toney. Why did you say Kadarius Toney for?
I didn't say Kadarius Toney.
The other guy,
Darius Slayton, Hyatt.
Darius Slayton. The one that has all the targets.
Malik Neighbors?
No, the other one.
You just said
Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson. They've got guys that can do it. They just need a little bit more. So I think and Cam Ward going to the Giants doesn't mean he has to start right away. He could sit a year and actually learn. So I like him on the Giants, but that would mean both the Titans and or 31 other NFL teams passing on him and the Browns passing on him.
I don't see that happening, but we will see. It's coming up soon. Here's another guy that we're going to talk about today, Shadir Sanders out of Colorado, 6'2" as well, 212 pounds. He is this year's hot topic. He's the one where you're either hot or cold on him. I know Sean is blocked people for saying negative things about him, and so I will refrain.
Not his not his athletic.
I said him. I said him as a person. So I'm not going to go into what I think about him because I don't want Sean to hate me. But I don't get the good vibes from him that I would like from my NFL quarterback. I see some immaturity and I see some lack of humbleness, which is okay because you're not supposed to be Mr. Goody Two Shoes as a star athlete. No, name one star athlete, even Peyton Manning, all those guys. They're very arrogant, confident, cocky. Tom Brady, all of them. They all are. You have to be in this age of sports to do that. But when he's going to interviews saying that he changed Jackson State and all these small schools, yeah, buddy, this is the NFL. Like this is a new era. Like whatever. Be confident all you want. Shadir Sanders. Where do we see him as an NFL prospect, Justin? I think I know you're high on him, but I actually don't know. So I'm actually curious. Where do you land on the Shadir Sanders?
I'm actually not as high as you think I would be. I see him going in the top 5 of the NFL draft because that's where everybody drafts their quarterback. We saw 5 quarterbacks go in the first 12 picks last year, which is insane. You will not see that again this year, by the way. But I think he will end up landing top 3 even, just because of the hype, because who his dad is, what he has done. They turned around the Colorado program. They went undefeated at Jackson State, all the things, which is fine. I get it. I get the hype. You want a personality like that. I think he actually fits in with the Browns, to be honest with you. Um, but if you look at the stats, and if you look at what fantasy would have said about all the college players last year, he would have finished as QB 58 in college football last year. 58. 26.8 points per game, which is a pretty high number. Compared to Cam Ward. Cam Ward had 28.6 points per game. But Shador, 41 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and was sacked a lot.
A lot.
Which
his offensive line
brings
there
you
was
concerns.
awful.
Yeah, he had to run around because he had a poor offensive line, which not
Gonna
saying
get
the
that in the
Browns'
NFL.
offensive line is awful or the Titans' offensive line is awful, but it's not looking good. And then you're playing better defenses than what you were in the Big 12. So I don't see
Tighter
this going
windows.
well. I think Shador ends up starting week 1 just because of the team he's going to go to. They're going to need him to start week 1. But I think he would really benefit sitting for a year and actually learning the NFL, learning the pace of the NFL. I mean, we look at guys like Anthony Richardson and it's like, oh, this is faster than I thought it was. And you see guys that are not quite ready for the NFL come in and then just not do well. I do think he would benefit from sitting or going to a team that doesn't quite need to start him right away. But he won't. He'll go top 3.
I have a perfect spot for him. Remind me, did the Vegas Raiders have a quarterback?
Yeah, they have Geno Smith.
They have Geno Smith. Okay, perfect. This is where I'm going. I already knew that. Obviously.
You want to take him to the Raiders?
I do.
That's where I would go to. That's where I would go to.
That's the perfect spot because he can sit next under Geno Smith. He has Tom Brady there. This is okay. Tom Brady will admit himself. He wasn't the best athlete. He still isn't the best athlete. He sat behind multiple people at Michigan or one Chad Henne. Chad Henne. Well, he sat behind Chad Henne in Michigan. And then he sat behind Drew Bledsoe for a while in New England. He has the work ethic. I believe Shedeur Sanders has the work ethic. He has a father who pushes him. He's got, he went to Jackson State. He went to Colorado. He did turn around those programs. He's got a very good accuracy college career, 74% accuracy last year in 2024, which is perfect, or good for him, good for an NFL quarterback as well. The thing is, he does need to sit and he needs mentorship, not only from his father. He needs to hear it from coaching Pete Carroll, right? He's there in Vegas, right? Am I right? Yes, Pete Carroll's awesome. Mm-hmm. You have, like I said, again, Tom Brady there. You're probably in a better place you want to be. He already said, I mean, he did say he doesn't care where he's drafted, but let's be honest. He did say, these people aren't picking me. If you don't want to change your culture, don't pick me. Who's trying to change that culture over there in Vegas? Tom Brady. Dude, this is going to happen. I do see him being in Las Vegas this year, and I do see him sitting behind Geno Smith. We're not going to see him play football in 2025. I don't think so at all.
So if you go back to the very first article written on our new website, FantasyNowPlus.com, you can go and find I'm sorry, this is not the first one. This is like the 5th one. You can find that I did a mock draft back on February 5th before the Super Bowl. And I actually have the Las Vegas Raiders trading up to 101 to get Shedeur Sanders.
I don't think they need to trade up to 101 now, but I do see.
I think the Browns will draft him if he is available.
So, okay, but you think the Titans aren't going to take Ward. So you think, okay. So in your scenario, which things have changed since your article, of course. Since in your scenario, Tennessee is not going to draft him. They'll draft the defensive player. So the Browns don't. Yeah. So you're saying that Vegas has to trade up above the Browns. Wow, that'd be so much to give up, though. It really would be so much to give up. To get
but if you do believe that he is the generational talent that you want, And I mean, Pete Carroll is 400 years old, so it's not like he's going to be around for the entire career of Shedeur Sanders. If you think maybe in 3 years you could go and get prime, you can go get Deion Sanders to be your head coach in the future.
Yeah, this
This
is a
fits.
move. This is a move for the future, and I want to see it. I think that Sanders' best spot is the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think that if he does land there, it's going to be like a Michael Penix situation where you have to draft him in super flex leagues in the second and third round and wait, and hopefully he gets a shot. So I am all for Shedeur Sanders to the Las Vegas Raiders. Man, I don't want to do a long show today, Justin. So let's go on to the next guy, Jackson. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Jackson Dart over here, Ole Miss. People are talking about him like he's the next big thing, man. I log on to social media maybe once a month and I see Jackson Dart, this guy, Jackson Dart, this guy. What makes him so special, Justin? I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I didn't watch any film on him. I didn't have him in my first round in that mock draft. He's not even projected to go first round. Right now his ADP is 42 on PFF. He's currently ranked the 129th best player in the draft, but I think his hype is continuing to go up, and I think it will throughout the draft. And I could see him going in the first round. It's just where in the first round, but all signs lead to him being a second day pick, which is perfectly fine. Quarterbacks do well in day 2 and day 3. Like it's not the end of the world if you don't go day
Brock
1 as a
Purdy,
quarterback. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Brock Purdy, Tom Brady,
Russell
Russell Wilson
Wilson,
was a third round pick. I mean, you have quarterbacks in the league today that
Dak,
weren't first round picks. Yeah,
Kirk
Dak in the
Cousins.
fourth round.
I mean, we can
Yeah,
go on
Kirk
forever with
Cousins in
this
the
list.
fourth round. So yeah. Now, where does Jackson Dart fit in? If we're thinking late rounds, think about a team that doesn't have a starting quarterback really right now that needs a quarterback. I'm sitting at pick 21 right now. Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't love it. I don't love it, but it's a team that needs a quarterback. They're later in. They don't have to go reach for him unless they want to reach in the second round and go get him. But that's a team that's later on that doesn't necessarily have to get the quarterback because of Aaron Rodgers still being out there, maybe Kirk Cousins being out there after the NFL draft. They could bring in a veteran. They could sit Jackson Dart behind him and let him learn. Or sit him behind Mason Rudolph, but you're not learning there. So
I have a totally different take on this one. And this is for not just Jackson Dart. This is for a couple quarterbacks on this list, but mainly Dart. I truly don't think he's going to be a starter in the NFL. Ole Miss doesn't run a pro style offense. You know, he's struggles under pressure. He's got a lot of problems. Go to a team that likes to air it out and doesn't run a pro style offense. Back up Tua. Miami needs a legit backup. They do. Yes,
yeah,
they'd sign Zach Wilson. I get it, but why not? If
they're gonna
Tyreek
get
and
like
Waddle
3
get up to
games
speed,
a season.
he will definitely get. Stop. We got Zach Wilson, baby. I'm not
Just
worried
saying.
about it anymore. No, but what I'm saying is like I think he should be drafted as a backup, and I think that he's not going to be what everyone wants him to be, which is fine. You know, Kyle Trask, people were calling for him to be the next starter after Tom Brady, and he's just not. He's just a backup guy, and he just re-signed with Tampa Bay as a backup because he knows his place. There's only 32 backups in the NFL. People always say there's only 32 starters in the NFL. There's only 32 backups. And if you can get one of those roles, you're a made man for a while. And you can get potential to play, right? You can work on some things. So this to me is an undraftable quarterback in all
He
dynasty
will,
formats.
but in fantasy he shouldn't be. That's the thing.
No.
In fantasy he
Yeah.
shouldn't be drafted. And that's what we're here to talk about is I would not draft Jackson Dart in a draft this year. It's not worth it in my opinion. He's getting the same kind of hype that Matt Corral did in 2022, also out of Ole Miss. And he is currently playing in the XFL. So battling for a starting spot in the XFL.
Yeah.
Honestly, this whole draft reminds me of the 2022 draft. So
it's not good. I am going
quarterbacks.
to I got Anthony Manzano in the chat. What receivers, running backs, or tight ends in this year's draft can you guys see making a major impact in fantasy in terms of production if they're drafted in the first round? Anthony, we will get to this question, but just a reminder, this is a quarterback show. But Justin, do you have some receivers off the top of your head or some running backs off the top of your head that are going to make a major impact no matter where they go?
Drafted in the first round of fantasy drafts, I'm assuming, or
Yep.
is what I'm going to assume. You can correct me, Anthony, if I'm wrong. Again, Ashton Genty is probably going to be your top running back in this draft. And then wide receivers, you're looking at Ted McMillan. He's probably a top 3 fantasy pick, depending on what you're looking at. Then obviously Tyler Warren, he's going to be the tight end of this draft. He is the Brock Bowers tight end of this draft. He's not, I don't think he's going to have Brock Bowers level of skills, because I think he ends up landing in Indianapolis, but he is your tight end this year. I would be willing to draft Tyler Warren in the first round. He is the only tight end I would probably draft in this draft. And both for a standard fantasy and dynasty. So for dynasty, still only tight end I would draft. Standard, probably the only one I would draft too. So but that's me. Outside of the big 3, Tet, Ashton, and Tyler Warren, you're looking at Luther Burden, who I think ends up landing with like New Orleans, who could really use him. He was supposed to be one of the best wide receivers to come out in the draft if he was drafted last year. So the fact that he has fallen just a little bit, I would not expect that production to be the same. They have a different system this year than they did last year. If he goes to a team that could use him, I think Luther Burden could be a big one. And then, of course, Emeka Egbuka, probably one of the best Ohio State receivers to come out of the draft in recent years. And that's saying a lot.
I'm super hyped for him. I'm sneakily trying to get him in a lot of drafts this year.
Amarian Hampton is a sneaky running back pick too. He,
Okay.
I think, is going to be more of like the Jahmyr Gibbs to the Bijan Robinson this year.
As far as Travis Hunter goes, Anthony, I think he's going to be a corner. I don't think he's going to play much. He's going to be primarily defense. This is just me.
I think
professional.
he comes in for packages.
He comes in for packages. He's going to be like a Taysom Hill type or someone like that. Devin Hester when he came in. It's not going to be a lot, but in the NFL, he's not Shohei Ohtani. He's not going to play both ways, even though he thinks it's harder. What he does is harder than Ohtani. That's false. And he's just going to be winded all the time if he does that. It's no way. I'm going to close it out here with this final thing. Justin, I know there's a bunch of quarterbacks that we have not talked on or touched upon. I'm going to leave this open for you because I know that you said in our text this morning that you think there's a quarterback that may be the next Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to let you go off on that real quick because I want to hear it.
Jalen Milroe is going to be the next Jalen Hurts. A lot of people say Jackson Dart will be him, but I think it's Jalen Milroe. He's not being talked about enough. I think he's getting a little bit disrespected for what he did. You got to think when they had Nick Saban, he was pretty good. They then had the weirdest Alabama season that we've seen in recent memories without Nick Saban, and he was still pretty good. Size was a concern for a lot of people, but he, again, is still a very good quarterback. He had a good pro day. He had a good combine. I could see him going in the second or third round, sitting, and then finally getting the opportunity with a good coach to do what he does. And he's reminded me too much of the Jalen Hurts of his draft. I think he could be good.
I'm excited for that. I'm not going to draft him. And I'm not going to draft Quinn Ewers either. When the fans in Texas are pretty much rooting for the backup all season long, it's not a good look. And this is something I want to talk about real quick of Devy leagues. Ewers, Burden, by the way, I drafted him in Devy leagues. All these guys we draft in Devy leagues, they're not a sure thing. These picks that you're acquiring, they're not for sure things. I have many Devy picks that just could be cut right now because they're just not useful. And it's sad to see because Ewers was supposed to be his rookie year. His freshman year. I remember going, oh, this is the next guy. This is going to be the next Peyton Manning. This is going to be it.
his senior year of high school, everybody was saying that he is the best quarterback prospect to come into college and will go into the NFL since Andrew Luck. And I'm like, this is great. And then he, again, like you said, when all season everybody at Texas wants the backup quarterback to come into play because he was better. That's a problem.
Yeah, and it's just going to be a situation where he's a fourth round pick, and he's going to be sitting on the bench being a backup for some team, and that's okay though. Like I said, being a backup in the NFL is a lot better than not being a backup in the NFL.
And Anthony's right. He could be an elite backup, fringe starter, like Kirk Cousins when he was in Washington. He could be drafted in the fourth round and end up becoming a starter later on. But right now, if we're talking about right now, I don't see him being a good option here. Again, this draft reminds me too much of the 2022 draft when it was Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral.
Was Malik Willis in that?
Yeah.
Who's the other bum that started from Cincinnati? Who started in
Desmond Ridder.
Wow. Woo, those were some rough times, man.
Those were some historic quarterback draft right there.
It really was. But we're gonna leave it off at that. Next week, I believe we'll be talking about running backs. I want to do running backs next week. Let's do running backs next week. We might have to do a two-parter on that one. There's a lot of running backs. There is a lot of running backs. I don't want to do a long show. We might be doing a two-parter. So take a look out for that. We might be doing running backs back-to-back weeks. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make sure you go to FantasyNowPlus.com. Sign up for Super League. Right, we have spots open right now. We'll be assigning soon, right, Justin? Right? When's that going to be set up, Justin?
It'll probably be like May or June.
So make sure you get in there, FantasyNowPlus.com. Make sure you follow Fins Talk Sports Network everywhere, Fantasy Now Plus everywhere. That's it for now. Peace out, guys. Later.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.